Okay. Hello, everyone, and good morning to you all. My name's Sugi Yamagawa, and today on VTubing My Slow Life Hobbies in My 30s, we are going to be attempting to make one of these bad boys because this one's broken, and I don't think well, I glued it together for very good reasons that we will see here in a little bit. But yeah, I have an exceedingly arduous task ahead of me. So, just right quick, show us what we got here. So, this is a piece of rosewood that I ordered online, and I spent a somewhat amount of time this morning getting this hole drilled. And then in the process of drilling said hole, I have, not sure if you can tell. Yeah, you can tell. You can tell. I've abused the ever-living hell out of this drill bit. But I did not get my hole to go through the other side. However, though, well, it's going to go with something like this. I don't need it to go all the way through. So I'll probably come up around in here for that. So hopefully when I cut this bottom part off, when we get to that point, hopefully I'll find my hole, is my hope. It is very much my sincere hope. But yeah. So that's kind of what I did a little bit with that. And then I also have some like materials here for... So to drill this hole at this angle, what I did is I used a piece of scrap wood on top of my block, and then the drill block. The drill block's job was to keep my bit from, let's do this number here, was to keep my bit from trying to poke out the sides of the block of wood and to get a reasonably straight hole, because I wanted to get at least a little bit more than an inch worth of hole drilled in here, so that way it would hold the bit and then it could actually start doing it. And then the hole would guide the bit further down. So, and that's kind of a little bit of how I did that. I make it sound easy. It was not easy. It was terrible. It's not something I super recommend. But yeah, this block was originally bigger, but I ripped it in half at the table saw. It's right next to me. And I just had a piece of blue tape because I wanted to keep track of which side of this block was facing the fence. Otherwise, I could have whoopsied in a very big way. But yeah. But also, here's the irons for the hand plane. They're looking pretty good. I did a round of evapor rust on them. So, got all that rust off. Actually got, not sure, wait, is it on that side or other side? It's on the other side. You can kind of see some tool markings there. It actually says Stanley Patent April, I think it's April 19th, 92. So this is definitely a 100-year-old hand plane that hopefully I will get up and running. But, so, if this project, if this handle just doesn't work out, well, I will at least throw the old handle in, and we'll try to at least get some shavings. So that way we at least get something of a thing accomplished today. Okay, so my hole's gonna be there. Now, big reason why I glued this together is I want to use it for a template. I'm gonna grab my marker here. I'm actually using, since my wood's so dark colored, because this is rosewood, I'm gonna be using silver marker, so that way I can easily see it. Now, what I have to do here is line those up really good. Then I want to reasonably line that up with the bottom of my block. That's what I really, 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 really want to do. And I think that is really close. Really, really, really close. Yeah. That hole's pretty much... I want to pull this down a little bit. I actually want to give myself a little bit more material up here to play with. So, since I'm reasonably happy with that, I'm going to go ahead and just mark my easiest line to mark, my bottom line. And then, come up here, mark that, go around that corner, come down here, mark that, and then all I have to do now is finish my trace. Ooh. That's why you get the easy lines done, because the easy lines help hold you together. And with that, I have the rough shape of my boat on my block. So, and basically what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and cut my line. So, we will see if this works out. Because my main game plan is to get this shape rough cut out at the bandsaw, which is right next to me. And then I'll get the stationary belt sander out, and we'll actually put like the nice curves and everything for the handles. So we'll see if we're successful today. I am not optimistic. I am anything but optimistic. So let's get this boy powered up. So that is bandsaw coon powered up. Sip some tea, and what's going to happen now is we're going to be listening to a lot of bandsaw noises. But my first line I'm going to do is I'm going to do this line first, and then after I do that line, I'm going to just take a straight line from here to here, try to get my bulk material off, and then later on we will play with this curve. This part of the tote is actually going to be like a lot of fun, kinda, sort of. We're going to have to do a lot of relief cutting on that. So, let's just go ahead and start making noise. Ooh, that's not good. I know what that sound is. That might be the end of today's fun, actually. This is what that sound is. That sounds like a snap bandsaw blade. That looks like a snap bandsaw blade. Man. I didn't feel like I was pushing it that hard, but I was fully expecting. Let's see here. Do you, and you. So, question is, did we snap the blade, or did we just... That sounds like snap blade. Or did we just lose blade? We snapped blade. Oh. That is a snapped blade. Well. And I don't have extra blades. Well. Morning, Mr. Spock. Unfortunately, things have turned a turn for the worse, and I lost my bandsaw blade. As we were making our first cut into the... It was actually cutting fairly well. I didn't think I was putting too much force on that, so... So, for now, what this basically means is... Granted, I was probably taking my line a little bit too much. Granted, I'm actually really curious if I... Actually... Now, granted, I am seeing that my blade was going pretty straight, but then I had this, like, zigzag happening. But yeah. So, for now, we're done with the bandsaw. Because, well, we can't do anything without a blade. So, we're gonna do some other stuff. Yeah. Well, this is finally my excuse to actually buy bandsaw blades. I now have no other choice. But what would MacGyver do? Honestly, because this isn't the type of thing you can just, like, weld. Honestly? Well, there's nothing I can do. I'm not Mr. MacGyver. Granted, I'm also kind of curious about the... Because this is an older blade. Granted. You van with a dime? You can with a dime? Oh. I don't know if I can do that. True. But I actually need to double check. So, for the record, I'm a complete, absolute amateur with hand planes, which is why I have my Worthington hand plane here. Because basically what we're going to do is, since we're dead in the water with that project, well, we're going to see how much use we can actually get out of this handle. I'm willing to skill usually incorporated in presents. Oh, shucks, no wonder I don't have that skill then. Because I've never been to prison. I've never really been in large amounts of trouble to warrant that, so... Okay, that was my question. Because my question was making sure that faces down, making sure I have iron set up right, because that chip breaker, I can bring that chip breaker a little bit closer to the edge. Yeah, we'll open that up. Just have it. Woo! That made a lot of sawdust though. Tighten that up. Sure. Everything is really where I want it before. Give it a nice firm tighten down. And then put our irons into the plane. So, let's see here. So I want to have just a hair bit of a, so I'm feeling just a little bit of a scratching. That's what I want. So put in, ooh. So I have a little bit of a gap here. I'm gonna take my screwdriver. That is a thing I've noticed with these hand planes. If you don't have an okay-ish amount of tension, why not 3D print a handle? I mean, that's certainly an option for some people. It's just I don't have a 3D printer. Now, the main reason I wanted to... Ooh, that seems pretty good. Ooh, I've got a lot of hand plane down there. We don't want a whole lot of hand plane. Let's see here. Let's get, that feels a bit better. A bit better, but not a lot. Still, we don't want to take shavings like that, man. Probably coming down. Ooh. I snap it, so if we do, lock that in, flip. Ooh, yeah, that's good. Should be good. Just a hair bit poking under there. But yeah, so essentially where this whole journey started was I could get wooden handles for about 65 bucks. And I was like, I don't want to throw 65 bucks at this. So option 2 was a plastic handle. Plastic handles, well, one, these are kind of a hard specific item to find. So I had a little bit of trouble just like finding a handle. Well, just actually finding like listings and like places where I could actually buy one of these things. But Amazon was wanting like 40 some odd bucks for plastic ones. And I was like, I'm not doing that. Maybe you make a mold and use epoxy? I mean, that's certainly an idea. I'm not sure how that would fully work out. So, I'm gonna just set you back all up together. Mr. Worthington. Thank you for being a reference. There we go. So, come on down, Stanley. And then actually, since we're kind of working a little bit more down here, we're going to be a little bit more down here-ish. Ah, there we go. So, epoxy is expensive, I think. I haven't done like much work with epoxy. Now let's see. How do I want to do this? Do I want to? You know what? I have truly done an amazing job of food barring myself this morning. So I think the best way to put this handle on is to go ahead and get the set rod in a little bit. And then all this has to come out. Now I wonder, can I get it past the lateral adjustment screw? Maybe. Or does that just gotta come out as a unit? We will put it, cut out the basic shape, and then whittle it to fit your hand. I mean, the thing is, technically speaking, I could have easily made that cut at the table saw. I could have made a diagonal cut with my miter gauge set right. And there's certainly ways I could cut this out. I mean, there are I am not comfortable doing. The only cut I would be reasonably tempted to do at my table saw would be this cut, which is pretty much already done. But I am not gonna put myself in danger. Some of these cuts are, because usually for curves you usually want to use like a bandsaw blade. And I mean, theoretically I could get my jigsaw out, but not gonna lie, using a jigsaw to do what I'm doing would be certainly in yeah-bye territory. Let's see. That's lined up in the front. I don't know if I'm seated. That's the hard part. I could take this apart. It's easy enough to take apart. Wait. Maybe it just needs to be tight enough. It's getting tighter. Ooh. Okay. Let's see, let's get it lined up nicely. Ooh, that's cool. It pulls it, actually pulls the handle a little bit back when you tighten it down. And then, my last little small piece. You take care of that, Mr. Spock. I'll get the screw set. Now, I found out about this prior to my game plan to actually make a handle out of wood. But Rex Kruger, he's actually got plastic handles for like $12 on this website. And had I known about that option prior to me buying this wood, I probably would have went that route. Which, depending on how the rest of this turns out, let's see. Okay, so I'm reasonably happy with that. There we go. Now, my plan is really wonky though. I've got a very small gap there, bigger gap there. And it's kind of the part of this where admittedly I have a bit of a skill issue is actually getting these guys set up right. Which is kind of the thing I think makes hand planes very intimidating for people, is they have to be set up right to work right. You can't just grab the tool and mess around with it. And I mean, I suppose you probably could figure it out, but you're gonna have a rough time if you try to go that route. So, hey now. Use grip. Damn Harbor Freight clamp. I keep hearing it pop. Are you the one that just does not grip? Does it have... Do you not have the spring? You've got the spring. You should be able to do what I would like. Yeah, I can't do that. That's why. That's why. But yeah. Also, sorry about being awkward about this, but this is my table saw stand's the only thing nearly heavy enough for me to actually be able to. There we go. See? The only thing heavy enough that I can actually use a hand plane at and not have my work surface rock something wretchedly. Which was something I discovered during... You're a clamp, but you're not clamping. That's your problem. You're one of my not clamping clamps. Okay. Well, guess what, bucko? There's plenty of people who can do your job. Yep. Okay. So... Now the question is, can I access my locks? Because I need to lock my wheels before I do this. Okay. There we go. Because this table saw stand is like... Because I basically work in a garage. So, a lot of my tools are all on wheels. This is the only thing that is like big and heavy enough to resist the various forces at play. So, this is the Stanley number 5. We're gonna see if we can take a shaving with it. Okay, choppy. Let's try again. Oh. My clamps failed me. Okay. You will just reset the clamps. And we'll get them down. We'll get them nice and tight. Oh yeah. Pretty reasonable shavings, I feel like. Okay. Again. Oh, no. Better. Okay. Being very choppy. This is the part that's all on me. I wonder high density foam would work for a mold or cut and sand to fit your hand. Ah, okay. Probably trying to take too much. So, taking too much of a cut. Just see if we can't back it off. Ooh. Okay. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. Those are some shavings. Yeah, that was my issue. I was taking too much of a cut. Okay. Woo! Now, I'm willing to do this for a little while because, well, this wood sassafras, so therefore it smells like root beer when I make these curls, which I actually root. If you must know anything, I love the smell of root beer. Root beer smells amazing. Now, let's see here. Ah! Well, handle's holding up. So, that means I've got a working hand plane. So, once again, I am reminded of the fact that I, like most people, possess a skill issue. But that's admittedly quite fun. But it's restored in it. It does work. How straight is that? I think I got. Yep. So this edge closest to the table is low, whereas this edge is high. So I don't have my irons set perfectly. Now, granted, one slight issue I am noticing is my lateral adjustment screw, which technically this is actually the part of the tool that would help me actually fix the issue I'm having. It's just free spinning. It's actually not connecting with my plane irons. So, I wonder why that is. I have a gap there. I wonder. I have this very thin gap between that little round thing. You can see it right there. You can kind of just hair bit see that gap. Because that's supposed to be like essentially what it is it's like a pivot point for the iron. Oh, let's see here. Get this as reasonably set up as I can. Put that down. Yeah, and even with it in, it's very loose. It's not making contact with my iron, but very wispy shavings. Granted, another thing I'm also noticing is that my depth adjustment screw is very tight. Let's see. Wonder if I can run that in more. Yeah, because that screw's ultra tight, but there's a fix for that. And that fix is called WD-40. Oh, let's see if I can. And the funny thing is, what was easy to come out earlier, really hard to go back in. Well, it was easy. It was really easy to work on this when I had the handle off, but now I got the handle on. So, oh, gosh, that's just. Well, I don't want to have to resort to this, but I will. I'll be abusive. Granted, need to put my jaws in a little bit more. I want to get some more grip on that. Let's see here. Man. Oh, you know what? That might help. Well, I continue to learn. So, lesson. If you have it set like that, this is going to be, well, granted, honestly, this is turning reasonably well now. But earlier, this was putting too much pressure on that, so. And as you can now see, that is way too much blade sticking out from underneath that. So, I'm going to have to bring my blade up, bring that down, and let's do a flick. Now I still don't have my lateral adjustment screw working. Oh, let's see here. Okay, that choppiness is too thick of a shaving. I have way too much iron. Yeah. Let's see. Damn. Let's see what that does. Works, but too much resistance. So, I'm gonna open that up, pull my irons back. He's like, my irons are really wanting to. My irons are really wanting to stick out. I don't like that. Because that is just. I think I know my issue. Ooh, don't do that, buddy. Treat your tools a little bit better. I wonder if my issue is with my frog position. Because if I move the frog, actually. We're just gonna learn. We're gonna mess with things. We're gonna tinker. I think my frog position is what's wrong. Because this screw here on the irons needs to fit in that hollow. And I think my frog might be a little too far back. And that might be one of the things affecting me here. So, I'm gonna loosen my frog adjustment screws. And then I'm gonna just move the frog backwards a hair. And then I'm gonna retighten my screws. Also trying to keep the frog as even as possible. Because let's get up in here. Because if we don't have evenness here, then the plane irons will not be even. So we'll put our, that feels reasonably good. You know what? That seems a lot better so far. So we'll go ahead and grab our lever cap. I think we can, we got a little bit of play there. We can tighten that up a little bit. So we'll tighten that up a little bit. We'll snap our lever cap down. Get it secure. We definitely, ooh, okay. So for the lateral adjustment lever, it's a lot stiffer. It doesn't have the same level of play we had in it earlier. So that part is looking really good. Let's try to get some shavings. Okay. So that was a little too much. Let's try to get a thinner shaving. Ooh. Did I go the opposite direction? And take too little? So we did too little. And we'll just readjust it out. And okay. Man. Yes. I don't like that choppiness. I gotta like how if I make progress in one direction, it seems like seems I lose progress in another direction, but I think choppiness is on my blade, but I haven't done any sort of significant damage to that blade though. However, you can kind of see that I have a little bit of a gapping with my chip breaker. One side is a little bit wonky. It wasn't as parallel. And really, for people like me who are absolute amateurs and just a guy messing around in a shop, this is basically what learning amounts to. Is messing with it, figuring it out, and get that a little bit tighter this time. But that's a little bit more even. Sure. I could definitely see that totally being a chip breaker issue. So, that where it feels like it's good. Let's see. Feels reasonably secure. Okay. Nah. And try a Henway. Some chips are getting stuck. Let's see. It feels like it's taking too much. But this is also the terribly fun thing with this technology is hand plane technology is also very, as far as I can tell, it's the most finicky of technologies. It's not as straightforward as some power tools. Granted, these are actually from the era of pre-power tools, and you actually had to know what you're doing to get the job done. Whereas in my case, I don't. I'm suspecting I was taking too much, but let's try that. Okay. Now we're cooking. And that's, you know what? It's still relatively, it's actually relatively flat, but don't really have to do anything with the lateral adjustment screw, so. So far. But you know what? Let's see. I want to take a look at that. Oh, okay. So we are getting a little bit tilted. So I do. So we went from this being over where my thumb is to over here on this side, just basically a hair bit past our screw. And I'm taking light shavings, it looks like. That should gradually get bigger. I wonder if that... And then I stopped taking shavings. So, with... Stop taking shavings. Okay. Yeah, plane got clogged. So, that's an easy. Not to the face. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so the shavings were actually getting up underneath the chip breaker. So, and when they get up underneath the chip breaker doesn't do its job. Which is funny because I thought I got it pretty tight that last time I adjusted it. Yeah. But you know what? Any learning is good learning, honestly. When it comes down to it. Because, you know, no one comes all the boxing expert in this, you know? Let's see. It's just if... Judging by how I've been messing with my chip breaker, unless I slightly off-kilter it, makes it really hard for me to have an even thing. I got any good flashlights right now. Torque at the specs. Pretty sure the manuals for these guys were destroyed in World War I. But that's one of the fun things with these things. They're old critters, but what I want is to shine a little bit of light on the situation. If I can. Not really seeing much light shine through it. Granted, I don't know how much of a gap is like appropriate between the edge of the iron and the chip breaker. I know you want the surfaces to be close, but you still want them to be like separate. It's just I'm not necessarily sure where that happy middle is. So let's see. Do I got some gap? I got some gap. Good. Here, you're gonna scare people. Okay. But these are crispy shavings. Those are thick. They're not thin. So we will back out our depth adjustment. And there we go. There we go. Hot diggity dog. That is a working hand plane. That is a perfectly functioning working hand plane. That, as far as I can tell, is from 1892. So, this is definitely gonna see a lot of life in my shop and all that fun stuff. And eventually we'll return to this. We'll return to that once I figure out what size bandsaw blades to get. But other than that, I'm not entirely sure where I want to go with today. Like I'm not entirely sure what I want to do, because the thing is I actually, as far as I'm aware of, at this point in time, I have a free day. I was actually kind of hoping to spend like a good 2 hours on working on the handle, and then doing basically what we just did here just now, figure out the hand plane, get some good shavings, learn the tool. Now, granted, I will say with these, I think with the hand planes, they definitely get me smoother surfaces. Okay, didn't leave any marks, but that's what rough sassafras looks like, and then that's what it looks like smoothed up. So, I gotta say, that's a pretty reasonable edge. Granted, it feels amazing. I really like how the edge feels. That's really good feeling edge. So, I now have number 5 jack plane. That's what the number 5 is. Basically, a little bit of everything. Then we have a number 4 style. The number 4 is a smoothing plan. So this is to get nice smooth surfaces. And I also have my Japanese hand plane. Here's the iron. Here's the piece of wood. Much simpler, a lot simpler of a critter than these critters. This is 2 parts. I don't even... well, actually, I think these planes are 15 parts. But yeah, good morning, Dad's Old Shop. I'm actually currently just wondering what to do with my day, because today's game plan kind of got well, we were having fun, and apparently I had too much fun. Because we were working on cutting out the shape out of this block of wood that I put a hole in. And my bandsaw blade decided that it had enough of being a bandsaw blade and gave up. So it was like, okay, don't know what to do. So I just threw the old handle on, and then this was like, okay, let's get some shavings and lots of tinkering. Oh no, I mean, the blade snapped inside the housing for the saw. So basically what happened is, it was working, the blade snapped, and the wheels were turning, because once the blade snapped, the blade wasn't under tension and wasn't moving anymore. So yeah, as far as shop accidents go, that is very benign. I mean, here's the thing, I'm not wearing gloves and no blood, which is good. No blood is the right amount of blood. But yeah, I'm now actually, so I was just talking about my like planes, that the suite of planes I have for the shop, and I'm in their various roles because I'm kind of at a I don't know what to do. But hey, standing number 5 works. Makes pretty decent shavings. I'm not sure how my world's gonna change once I start trying to actually do the broad surface. Got a coping saw, cut it out 1980 style. Just because I have a plane from. Granted, I actually don't think this hand plane's from 1880. There is some tool marks that I don't think you guys can 100% see. But it does say patent April 1992. So since I have no other evidence to say otherwise, I'm going to say this is a hand plane from 1892. I do have a coping saw. I have never used a coping saw though. I have this. Come here, you. Pop out. Yeah. I mean, the option exists. Granted, just great bargain, $2, $1.50. Granted, how old is this thing? Distributed by Tool and Supply of New England Inc., Wilmington, Delaware, made in China. And I think it's funny because the brand is called DIY Carpenter. I mean, technically speaking, this is an option. But what I don't like about this option, other than the fact I don't have a lot of experience with it, is how I support. I mean, I could probably finish this cut. Like, let's see. Let's do a few strokes. You cut and pull, right? Wait. Ah, damn it. This is the thing I dislike about. So the thing is, when you switch between Eastern and Western style saws, you very quickly forget. Granted, why? Wait, you're shaped to cut on push. Granted, I think this blade is just toast. Just judging by the amount of rust on it. It looked like it was cutting a little bit, though. But that's the thing, I'm just not that ambitious. You can flip the coping blade to be pull cut. Ah. And just like how they pinned it in with a bent over nail. But yeah, because the biggest question is like how I support my workpiece while I make my cuts. Whereas like with the bandsaw, I have the table. The table supports the piece and I can manipulate my wood around my blade. Which is why bandsaws exist. That's a country. But that's the reason why. I mean, that's the reason why I even have a bandsaw, is because, well, if I need to cut curves. Which, granted, the last time I had to cut curves was for when I made my paper towel holders. When I made those, that was a long time ago. That was a really, really, really long time ago. Like, really early days of the channel. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, that was like the 4th stream I ever did. Way back. But yeah. But yeah, now I just want to figure out what I want to do because I don't want to do nothing. Yeah, it was a long while ago since and that's kind of part of the, well, no, I've used the bandsaw since then because I like cutting dowels at the bandsaw. Bandsaws are great. I only use mine for larger production runs. Solo stuff, I use a coping saw. Yeah, because I actually really like cutting dowels at the bandsaw. If I want to take some dowel rod and make like a whole bunch of 1-inch dowels, I like doing that at the bandsaw. I like bandsaws because bandsaws are like, I can have my workpiece, my little bit of wood, and I can be working with it, manipulating it. I can have my fingers within 1 inch of the blade and not feel like I'm in any level of danger, versus this critter. If my finger is half a foot from the blade, that's dicey. Table saws without table saw kickback risk. Yeah, basically. Well, and also just like they're kind of, at least my bandsaw, my skill, that's a lower power tool, lower power motor, less power, less risk for injury, versus this 10-inch table saw, lots of power, lots of potential for energy. Definitely can kick back if I'm not careful, but that's also all about like your setup. I feel like a lot of the safety around the table saw is making sure you have everything set up right, make sure you have your workpiece supported, make sure you have your push sticks, I also have one of the grippers, which I think is on the other, it's on the other side of the stand, that I can put on my workpiece and help like guide the workpiece through. All stuff like that. Like, just, it is a tool you can use safely. It's not a tool you can have your fingers close to the blade. All the safety around this tool is about keeping your fingers as far away from that blade as you can. But now I want to figure out something I want to do. Because, well, hand plane works. The handle's glued together and it's still, I mean, and this is like half the shavings I made. The other half of the shavings are on the floor. I was watching a guy with rotary shaft tools, makes me a little jealous. Rotary shaft tools. Oh, okay, yeah, okay. That's what I was thinking, is like the style of shop where you have a guide rod up and then you just have belts to everything. Yeah. The risk of losing a finger is half the I don't think losing a finger live is going to be anything good of a thing, regardless of what I do. Also, I am an individual who has technically had one of my body parts reattached. So, granted, this isn't my fault. That happened in the door jam before I was a year old. So just because they can put something back on the first time doesn't mean they can put it back on the second time. I'm not going to run that risk. But yeah, I want to do something. Granted, shucks, I don't even know what I'm doing later today. Because if my friend isn't wanting to hang out, then honestly, probably what I'll do later today is I might go to like a brewery just to like get out of the house, because I've stayed at that. Because other than visiting family for Thanksgiving, the last 2 days I've just basically stayed home. Because one, I didn't want to go out on Black Friday because Black Friday reasons. Actually, no, wait. I did go to the grocery store Saturday morning to get ingredients for the French onion soup. I did do that. But I need to have I feel like I need to have a better backlog of projects. Now, granted, that's going to actually get a lot better once I get some... There's some stuff I want to do, but I need to get materials for it, and getting materials is basically luck of the draw on Facebook Marketplace. Because right now, one of the things I'm kind of eyeing, even though this is it's gonna be a big thing if I try to get, is there's actually someone selling old oak beams that they rescued from a warehouse, like a really old style warehouse. Like they're like, because I think they're like, he said they're 2 inches, but I think they're bigger. They're like 2 to 3 inch wide oak floor joists. And he's selling a whole bunch of them. I think there's like a dozen. They're about 7 feet long. So we got like 2 by 10 by 7 feet oak floor joists. And he's selling like a dozen of those for $80 right now. He originally listed them for $100, and he knocked $20 off here recently. So I'm just like, this is a motivated seller. This looks good. I could probably figure out projects for all this oak. Granted, at some point I need to, with these hand planes, I need to figure out setup for actually working the transfers to these boards, which I could probably, granted, honestly, I could probably just screw a stop block into the side here, and then that'll work. But I've always done my hand planing with doing edge grain, so doing face grain is going to be a new challenge to me. But yeah, I don't know how much. Granted, shucks, this might actually just turn into a Just Chat stream. Honestly, the way we're going right now, which honestly, I want tea, so I'm gonna get some water going. Get some beer to drink until you black out. Once I cooked the perfect homemade pizza, blacked out drunk once, woke up the next day and saw pizza slices wrapped in the fridge, cooked perfect. Oh man. That is certainly a way to do things. Personally, I don't want to do that because I don't like getting inebriated a little bit is alright, but getting inebriated a lot of it is less alright. So, while that tea boils, I did, prior to stream, because I did want to talk about this at some point, was I bought a new tool that I wanted to show off, because, hey, I bought a thing. That was years ago. But yeah. I actually can't see the blade very well. Does the bicycle light help? But yeah, I got a scythe. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do this number. I'm just gonna grab the thing. But yeah. I have a made in Austria blade. The handle is a product of, the handle for the scythe is actually a product of Canadian engineering. But yeah, I bought a scythe as a treat to myself, because I've been actually wanting a scythe for quite some time, because I maintain most of my grass, with a rotary mower, and the rotary mower is pretty alright as long as the grass doesn't get too tall. Once the grass gets a little bit too tall, rotary mower doesn't like the grass. And I have an area in my yard that's kind of like a really shallow slope drainage ditch that collects a lot of water. And because it collects a lot of water, the grass just grows like haywire. Used to have one years ago. Yeah, so I spent a fair amount of money to buy a really nice scythe that I also realized I actually need to get a whetstone and a, what's called a peening tool for blade maintenance. But yeah, this is a tool that I've been wanting for a while, because usually what happens when the grass gets a little bit too long is I'll just fire up the weed eater and I'll just start weed eating. So I'll just weed eat those portions of the yard. Now, with this, I don't have to rely on the weed eater. I actually have options. Also, another thing I'm wanting to do, now that I have a scythe, since local ordinances let me have grass be a little bit on the long side, I'm thinking about kind of switching up some of my grass mowing routine. Basically what I'm trying to do is trying to get out of mowing grass less often, spending less time on it. And the strat there is going to be letting some of my grass grow longer. You can grow some wheat. Don't tempt me, Mr. Spock. Honestly, actually, you know what? Screw growing wheat. I should grow my own barley and malt it. That's what I should do. If I'm going to grow my own grain, I'm going to grow a grain. Well, actually, I can turn wheat into beer. You can turn wheat into beer, but you typically turn barley into beer. But yeah, so I'm hoping to let some of my grass grow up to about 6-8 inches, and then I can grab the scythe. I can scythe that area of the yard. And that way I go from having to mow my grass like once a week to once a month, which is kind of, that's why I spent a lot of money on this thing, because the handle was, I think, $130. Granted, I gotta say, like, it's actually a really nice handle. Yep. And also a really cool thing with the handle on this scythe is you have adjustments. You can actually adjust the handles, and so far I literally just picked some holes that would be reasonable for my height, and then I did kind of like grab it. Well, went out into the basement in an area where I had a little bit of room. It's a little bit, there's lots of stuff in here in the shop because it's a shop. But I am going to be testing it out, and I will see if I actually truly like these handles where they are at. But it is adjustable, which is nice. And they had 2 lengths of blade. One was, because this blade is the, let's see here. There we go. Because this blade is the 75 centimeter one, and then they had an 80. I was actually considering getting the longer blade at one point, but this blade actually had more reviews, so I was just like, screw it, we'll get the one that's actually really well reviewed. And I gotta say, you know what? This is a lot of blade. This is a lot of scythe blade, so you know what? It's fine. I can work with this. How warm's my tea? Oh, it's almost 170. Let's see. I'm making Earl Grey. We'll let it get a little bit up over 170. But yeah. So hopefully I can save myself a lot less time mowing grass, which less time mowing grass means more time spent in the garden, because I need to spend more. I want to spend more time in the garden, because some of these past couple of years, I've really been having my garden really get away from me, just from a maintenance perspective, and yeah, I would really like to actually spend a little bit more time taking care of it. Okay, let's get some tea. Yay. There we go. Now, funny enough, I actually do have plans to do a Zatsudan style stream, but that is actually going to be, it's basically going to be a 2025 garden year in review, where I'm gonna actually have a slideshow prepared of pictures of the garden at various stages throughout the year, and we're just gonna talk about growing food. We're gonna mostly talk about growing food for that stream, and then towards the end of it, we're gonna go through my seed stock, and we're gonna actually look at what I can grow next year and what I'm running out of, and not make mistakes I did last year. Because last year, I didn't check my seed packets for my lettuce, and I was out of all my seeds, all my lettuce seeds, other than the Yugoslavian red butterhead lettuce that I ordered just because, hey, I like a good red lettuce. This seems kind of good. And it was kind of, I think it was one of their new seeds. So the seed catalog was kind of promoting it more versus some of the other stuff. So I bought a pack, and that has been the only lettuce variety I have had for this entire year. So, and I like lettuce. I like salads. And I want to have a little bit more variety in my salad game versus just one variety. Also, different varieties grow at different rates and bolt at different rates, so it makes it easier to manage and, well, to maintain a steady supply of greens, which is essentially what all that comes down to. A nice steady supply of greens, which is something I really need to work on. And also, I need to do a better job growing tomatoes next year. This year turned out terrible for tomatoes. This was the worst year ever for me growing tomatoes. But yeah, we're going to eventually just do a yap session about that. But I think for now, we're just going to do a yap session about... Because I don't want to... if I had new blades for the coping saw, I might be a little bit more tempted to bust the coping saw out, but we'll eventually return to the handle project at some point. Granted, I've confirmed that my broken handle works, so... doing good. Let's see. Because next woodworking project is... So I've got a... Well, if we actually got that cut out, this guy cut out, you guys would have saw my stationary belt sander. But I want to make a home for it, so that's actually going to be the next woodworking project, but I'm also debating... Because I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do next week for streams. Because right now... So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make pizza in the Dutch oven. I almost go to the neighbor's tuxedo cat, but Bright Eyes was on the deck. I should cheap bag and was tempted, but Bright Eye scared it off. Oh yeah, that's what a rooster will do. Oh shucks, I let my tea water get a little too warm. But that's fine. I have a solution for that. But yeah, next week we're going to be doing some pizza in the Dutch oven. I'm going to make a margarita pizza because I really, really, really like margarita pizzas. And I've done a pizza campfire stream before, but that was me using a cast iron skillet, like a Dutch oven. And I actually want to like use a proper Dutch oven to make pizza, so we'll get to that. But for the second stream, I'm debating between brewing beer and actually starting building the next woodworking project, which will be a stand for the stationary belt sander. Because I've got some plans that I bought a year ago, and I have not made them ever since. Because I'm actually going to be on call next week with my work, so I am going to have zero availability for doing a morning stream on Sunday, which is kind of one of the downsides of my job. Is makes it really hard. Deep dish? No. I'm just wanting to do just a standard margarita pizza. Oh. The handle's in front of my leg, so if I raise my leg up, I kick it. But yeah, I'm really excited over this. Now, as for how well I will be able to maintain the edge on this blade, it's going to be a learning experience. My entire life is just me I'm a singular, well, there's Flesh me and then there's VTuber me. So, you know what? Sure, there's multiple versions of myself. I can refer to myself and myself, sure. But yeah, I just throw myself at problems and then learn things. I find it very hard to just stick to one class of problem, but I'm trying to be all in on woodworking for the most part, which, I mean, hey, I'm doing pretty good so far. Doing pretty good so far on that. Other than the fact that I'm eyeing other interests and potential hobbies, which is completely dependent on a book I'm about to read in probably a couple, well, let's see. Because I have an introduction to blacksmithing book on my reading rotation. Well, it's actually sitting on my living room coffee table right now. But there is one book ahead of it on the to read stack, and then I'm currently reading a book which I actually did a chapter of this morning, which is one of the nicest things about this 4-day weekend is just waking up every morning, making myself some tea, then curling up on the couch, and then just opening my book and just reading. That has been one of the best things about this 4-day weekend. Is just being able to wake up, get some tea, and then just read. Of course, after doing all my morning prep stuff, but I don't have to worry about going to work. Granted, I get to do that tomorrow, but that's fine. I need to work. I need to do work anyway. Because working is how I earn money for materials for projects. A woodworker often ends up a blacksmith, and a blacksmith ends up a woodworker. Funny enough, when I went to the Renaissance Fair at the beginning of this month, one of the guys one of the blacksmith people at their little demonstration area was talking to another guy there, and one of the guys was talking about a story how he had a friend come over to his shop, and the guy telling the story was a guy who does a lot of knife making. And like, I think the guy that he had come into his shop was like a woodworker. And the woodworking guy kind of just looked around the blacksmithing guy's shop and was like, man, your shop is like half woodworking and half blacksmithing. And he's like, yeah, I make knives. Because he's making wooden handles for his knives. So he's got to have like woodworking tools, but then he also has to like to make the actual blades and such. So I don't know how far I'm going to get into that journey though. Granted, my main temptation, as I've said before, for even attempting blacksmithing is simply because of the fact I already own an anvil. I own an anvil, I own a Peter Wright anvil, which is one of the big names from yesteryear. And I'm curious. I'm actually real curious. Is Peter Wright still around as like an anvil brand? Peter Wright anvil. Description and comments. Actually, let's do wiki. I get whole step, horn, rounded edge. There's types, history, in popular culture. What? Firing? Anvil firing is a practice of firing an anvil into the air using gunpowder. This has been popular in California, the eastern United States, and the southern United States, much like how fireworks are used today. There's a reenacting this ancient tradition in the U.S., which is now spread to England. Weird. Very few blacksmith types don't use wood like stonemason tool makers and farriers. Yeah. Man, that's just huh. That's just honestly. I was just wondering if there was like a history of the Peter Wright anvil thing, because I'm seeing a lot of stuff talking about forum posts. Oh no, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. Forums are very dangerous. Oh wait, entertainers, supports people, others. University, police officer, science, random soldier. Oh man. Supports people, entertainers, writers. It's sad there's actually not anything like actually on the original guy. Man, that's like the thing I really like. That's the thing I want to know about, like some of these like old tools and things. Is like, I want to know like the history of like the people who made it, you know? Or like reading through like, because I do like reading through like company histories where it's like, hey, during these years this company did this. During these other years, the company switched, or hey, this company then merged with this company, then they did things. Which, speaking of which this actually pertains to somewhat to the discussion we're having now. is, this is my Bailey combination plane. And Bailey actually merged with Stanley. I like my veneer anvil. I mean, I just like my anvil just because it's the family anvil. I like it because I can say about my anvil that this has been passed down my family line for 5 generations. Because my great-great-grandfather was the person to originally purchase the anvil and was used at the family farm for quite a while. And then I presume it went down to his son, and then my grandpa got it. Anvils are wonderful family heirlooms. Because if the house burns down, the family heirloom's intact. Because the thing is, I have another family heirloom from my great-great-grandfather. And what it is my great-great-grandfather was a potato farmer. And what the family heirloom is a potato sack with his name on it and an image of a potato. So, but I can't show that on stream because then that's giving out my last name. But that's also another joke in the family, is because we actually had a fair amount of these potato sacks, so a lot of like the branch families and us descendants, quite a few of us actually have potato sacks from my great-great-grandfather. Mine is actually framed and in my basement. But yeah, I have that, and I think that's it I have from my great-great-grandfather as far as heirlooms. I have that cast iron tea kettle that came from my grandpa's shop. Granted, who knows where I don't even know the history, because all my hand planes, these all came from my grandpa's shop that I bought. I'm really deeply curious as to how my grandpa actually got a actual proper Japanese hand plane. I'm really curious to that, but unfortunately he's gone and I won't find out. Ooh. But yeah, I do want to consider having a blacksmithing arc at some point, just because I think it'll be real fun to make like hardware and such. And also, I don't want to say I want to become too much into the blacksmithing, because like the biggest reason why I like doing like one of the big reasons why I picked up woodworking as a hobby is because I like trees and I like interacting with trees, and wood is dead trees. So I pretty much plan to just... Woodworking is going to be my mainline hobby, but I am going to continue to have sideline hobbies as far as the day is long. Gardening, going to still be very much doing lots of gardening. Brewing, all sorts of fun stuff. Absolute all sorts of fun stuff. But yeah. So, well, later half of today's stream kind of basically ended up becoming a Zatsudan, just because of, hey, I had a site to talk about, and I like this thing. I really like this thing. The only problem is I have to figure out a spot for it in the shop, which might be one of my... It's probably going to be one of my to-dos today, is figuring out a spot for it. Which I don't have a lot of great spots for long-handled tools. but I'm sure I can find somewhere. Or who knows? I mean, honestly, it's like aesthetically pleasing enough. I could probably find some spot to display it in the other half of the basement, which is probably what will happen to it at the end of the day. That's what's probably going to happen with the scythe, I imagine. But yeah, I really wish I had something more for today, but unfortunately, this is kind of where we've ended up at, and you know what? But hey, you know what? We have a fully restored Stanley number 5 that can make curls and do the things it needs to do. Now, I'm a little terrified to think about actually doing like face grain with it, but hey, you know what? I don't have to worry about crossing that bridge until I get to it. So, not as originally successful as I was anticipating, but hey, we still managed to have a reasonably good day. And longer than my 40. I mean, hey, like, you're an individual raising a family. You've got a lot more like time constraints than I do. It's just I generally try to aim for like the 2-hour mark is what I try to aim for. Sometimes I go over, sometimes I go under. Today's just going to be an under. But I mean, hey, Handplane works. That was the goal. That was, well, actually getting it tested. Now, it would have been a lot more fun to carve out the handle, and then, granted, I was also kicking up a lot of sawdust when I was doing just that one cut right there. And might have to want to work on doing maybe figuring out some dust collection for the bandsaw once we get to that point. Because eventually we'll come back to this, but I don't know when that's going to happen, because this might get shelved for a while, and it also just depends on when I can get my hands on bandsaw blades, which I've never bought bandsaw blades before, so I'm not even sure if I can get them at like a Lowe's or a Home Depot. I'm sure I can get them from somewhere. I'm not too worried about that, but yeah. So, but yeah. Had a good day today. Fairly good stream. And yeah. So I'd like to wish everyone out there that you have a great rest of your day, evening, night, whatever it is, wherever you're at. And hopefully I'll see you all in the next one. Okay. Bye-bye.